welcome once again to HeroQuest fans. Today we're going to be talking about some more of the rules of this excellent fantasy board game from 1990. And in keeping with past videos, we're going to be going into exhaustive detail. Now this, of course, is the classic game. A couple things I wanted to go over. Starting off, I'm just briefly going to talk about the Armory a little bit more from the North American version of the game. And then I'm going to get into a proper reading of the HeroQuest instruction booklet. If my voice holds out, we'll see. So I do encourage you to watch our previous videos where we do an unboxing of the 1990 HeroQuest game from Milton Bradley, owned by Hasbro, which was created in cooperation with Citadel Miniatures from Games Workshop. And of course, Games Workshop famous for the Warhammer Fantasy Battle and Warhammer Fantasy RPG. Now, of course, none of these videos are sponsored by any of those entities. I'm just a HeroQuest fan. I hang out mostly on Ye Old Inn, but I'm just hoping that these videos can be of interest to those who either have the game, played the game, or are interested in finding out about the game. So this is the Armory. This is cardboard, came inside the original box of the 1990 version. Now, something you'll notice here is that it says game parts stored below. So you'd put this in the box, and then you'd have your smaller boxes with your miniatures, furniture, dice, cards, etc., hero cards underneath. Well, anyway, so the Armory is a place where your characters, player characters, between quest adventures, would get to use their gold to buy additional equipment. Now, in this version of the game, each of the heroes start with equipment. So you can see here, obviously, these plastic shield protector things were not in the original. So the wizard character, he starts with a dagger. Elf gets a short sword. Dwarf gets a short sword. None of them start with armor. Barbarian gets a broadsword. Now, in the course of quests, they may find additional gear. Usually not, but once in a while, they'll find maybe a weapon or something of that sort that they can use. But it doesn't explicitly say in the rules that you can sell back equipment at half price, but in later expansions, it clearly does. So that was their intention. In the Japanese version of the game, you can sell back equipment to the Armory at half price as well. In the European version, it doesn't say it. So most players from that version have assumed that you can't. But as with many other things in HeroQuest rules, fans over the years have decided to pick and choose what parts of the game they enjoy the most and freely borrow and homebrew, as they call it, rules from different versions or make up their own. Just whatever they think is the most fun. So here in the Armory, you've got the toolkit, which gives you a 50% chance to disarm any searched for and found but unsprung trap. So I'll explain those when I go over the rules, but essentially in this version of the game, you search for traps. Zargon will indicate the squares that may be traps, and certainly are, and you either try to go around them, try to jump over them, or if you have a toolkit, or if you're the dwarf, you try to disarm them. Now, the dwarf has an advantage because he can roll one white die, and I'll show you it. Now, this is a homebrew dice rolling box. These are homebrew dice, but as you can see, it's nice and bright and white, and it's made of plastic. Obviously, the originals are wooden and smaller, but okay, so the dwarf would say, okay, I'm disarming the trap. He'd put his figure on the trap square. Okay, he got a skull, so he disarmed it. Now, he has a 1 in 6 chance of getting a black shield, and he would spring the trap and hurt himself. Now, any other hero that has the toolkit, though, they only have a 50% chance. So as you can see on this HeroQuest die, there's 3 skulls. So if he gets a skull, he fails. If he gets anything else, he succeeds, disarms the trap. It's a safe square. So that's the toolkit, 250 gold coins, which is quite a bit. You may have to save up a while to get that much. Now, if you're controlling more than one hero, it's pretty easy to pool your money, but otherwise you may have to negotiate. So then you've got the short sword. It's only 2 attack dice, and the wizard can't use it. Now you might be asking yourself, why would anyone ever buy that? Because 2 of the heroes start with it, and it's pretty much the weakest weapon other than the dagger. Well, I guess you could say, well, maybe that's all you can afford. This tells you how much it's worth, half, so 75 gold to sell back. Or just, I suppose, maybe your weapon gets rusted and you want a replacement, but you can't afford anything else. Well, that's the short sword. So it's your basic weapon, 150 gold. Then you've got your broadsword. It's three combat dice, so it is better in every way. The barbarian starts with 1, so he's got an advantage at the start. The wizard can't use it. Then you've got the longsword, which I always liked this weapon. The longsword is actually exclusive to the North American version. It's not in the Japanese version, and it's not in the European version. So it can attack diagonally, and it can attack adjacently with 3. Now, heroes can move on the 4 cardinal directions, but they can't move diagonally. But they can attack an adjacent monster. Certain weapons let you attack diagonally, and this is one of them. Can't be used by the wizard. Then you've got the staff, one of the few weapons that the wizard can use. It's 1 combat die, and it can attack diagonally because of its length. It's considered a 2-handed weapon. So when we get to armor, you'll see what that means. But basically, the shield can't be combined with this. And that comes to a little bit of a difficulty understanding what that means, but we'll get into that. Daggers, these are great. The wizard starts with 1. It can be thrown at an enemy. Now, if the wizard throws away his only dagger, he can still attack with 1 combat die because the rules state that unarmed combat, you still have 1 combat die. So it's just a once one and done ranged weapon. And if you roll a skull, you hit, and of course they have a chance to defend. But it's pretty cheap. You can get a whole pile of them if you wanted. There's nothing here that says that you can only buy 1 of each item. That was a little bit of a debate with the European version because you had limited cards for stuff. But it was clarified in later editions that it doesn't matter if you used up all the equipment cards. You can still buy it. Now here, there's no limit. You just buy whatever you can afford. Next weapon, you've got the crossbow. Finally, a ranged weapon. 3 combat dice. It can attack adjacently, but not. Let's see. You cannot fire at a monster that is adjacent. So I just said the opposite. Yeah, you can't attack an adjacent monster. You have to have at least 1 square in between. And has an unlimited supply of arrows. Now, one of the questions on the usage, and this is debated on ye olden forums, is what was the intention as far as diagonal squares? Now, originally, the way I always played was you got to have 1 square between you and the enemy, period. 1 square between you and the target to use the crossbow's function. But a lot of people have decided that the 4 diagonal squares can be fired upon using the crossbow. Now, if you interpreted the rules that way, that makes the crossbow greatly superior, most would say, to the longsword because they're both the same price. Why would you buy this to attack diagonally when you can just use this? Now, you could say, well, to attack adjacently with 3, you still need the broadsword at least. So the barbarian who already has this is free. He can just buy this, and he's better off than this person who just bought this. So you can debate what's a better use of your money. Why would they create something just to fool you? But again, it's like people who say, well, why would you ever buy the short sword when you can just buy the broadsword? There's no dual wielding rules. So this gets into the minutia of the game. But to keep it simple, we'll just move along. The battle axe, 450 gold. This was the big one. Save up all your money to get the strongest weapon. 4 combat dice, but you can't use a shield at the same time, so it's 2-handed. How many weapons can you carry? It doesn't say. So by the end of the game, you may have a lot of gold saved up. You may buy a lot of stuff. There's the helmet. So this is the first piece of armor we're looking at. 125 gold, and it gives you 1 extra defend dice, or defend die. So as you can see, the characters have 2. They start out with 2 as their base defense. They don't have any armor. So if you buy a helmet, you can only wear 1 helmet logically. You now roll 3 in defense. But let's say you want to get even more. So you buy a shield, so that adds another extra combat die. So that's 4. But if you've got a shield in one hand, can you hold a longsword? It doesn't say that you can't. Crossbow, some have argued that, oh, it's two-handed. In real life, you would need a second hand to cock the thing, but of course you also wouldn't have unlimited arrows. Are they unlimited range? Apparently so. So it's not perfectly realistic, but it's a game. These are the game mechanics. So, but if you want to have the staff, you can't use the shield at the same time, or the battle axe. But then, does that mean you can't carry it at all, or you just can't get the benefit? So players have debated about what does it mean to like equip one weapon and put away the armor. Can you carry it? Do you have to drop it? Do you have to pass it to another hero? How does that all work? So Zargon, the game master, gets to decide ultimately. And it helps to tell the hero players ahead of time so that there aren't a lot of complaints later. Next, you got the chainmail, very expensive, 500 gold coins. Now, in other versions of the games, these prices are different. The North American version tends to have higher prices for stuff. There's also more chances to survive in the game. So anyway, chainmail can't be worn by the wizard, but it can be combined with the helmet and shield, as it says here. And you've got the plate mail, or plate armor, as it's called in the European version. This gives you 2 extra. It can't be combined with, well, it's only what it says. So it can be combined with the helmet and the shield, so not with the chainmail. It only lets you roll 1 red die in movement. Now, most people have interpreted this to mean that it subtracts 1 red die from your movement. So what if you're under the influence of a spell that doubles your movement or adds 1 extra red die for movement from a certain artifact or potion? Well, you just subtract 1 rather than cutting it all in half or reducing it all to 1. So anyway, there's a lot of people interpret a hierarchy of rules, but this is the armory, and you've got your little identification guide there for map symbols, which Zargon uses. But yeah, I like the armory. The European version got rid of this. Well, it came out first, so this was the North American solution. The European version and the Japanese version instead, they may talk about an armory as a concept, but instead they have equipment cards. And I have some reproduction equipment cards that I use for fun, but eventually you end up with a pile of cards. And so I do like the idea of having cards, but more so to just say, okay, here's what it looks like, write it down on your sheet, and then put the card away. And then I use the cards for other stuff, like maybe you'll get a random draw from certain searches, like you're searching a room with a weapons rack, let's say, and you draw a random card. But that's my homebrew rule. So this is how the original game handled it. So after all that discussion, let's move on to the rules. So I'm just going to use a few little visual aids as I go, just for fun. So here we've got the rules, the instruction booklet for HeroQuest 1990. This is the original. And we'll just start reading. And it may be dry, but you can always skip to the part that you enjoy or watch some of our other videos if you prefer. I don't mind. Heed well my words, for I am Mentor, guardian of Lortome. I will tell you of times past, of darker days, when the Empire was saved against all hope. For I fear the darkness is about to return. The sinister forces of Zargon, the evil sorcerer, had swept all before them. At the sight of the black banner and the massed hordes of chaos, even the bravest warriors of the Emperor had fled, and the land was laid to waste, and all men despaired. There then came a mighty warrior prince from the borderlands, Rogar the barbarian. He bore a glittering diamond on his brow, the star of the west. Hope returned, and men flocked to his standard, leaving their hiding places in the hills and forests. Other great heroes joined him. Durgan, the fearless dwarven warrior from the World's Edge Mountains. Ladril, the elven fighter mage from distant Athelorn. And Telor, the wizard whose sorcery was to save Rogar on many occasions. For many years Rogar trained his army, being careful to avoid open battle with Zargon's general until all was ready. He ever harried the chaos supply lines and wiped out countless orcs and goblins. Then came the day for which Rogar had waited. His army had grown strong and was well practiced. Camping in the high passes, Ladril saw the black hosts from afar and bade Durgan blow the call to arms on his mighty horn. Rogar's army poured down upon the enemy from two sides, and battle was joined. Many foul creatures and good men perished that day. Yet, as the light of day faded, it was darkness that fled the field. But the victory was not absolute. Zargon and his general escaped beyond the Sea of Claws, and even now they plot their revenge. Soon their plots will be ready, and the Empire will have need of a new Rogar. But where are the heroes to equal him? You have much to learn if you are to become as great as Rogar and his companions. I will help all that I can. The book I protect, Lore Tome, was written when time began. All that ever was and all that ever will be is recorded in its countless pages. Through Lore Tome I may guide you, but I may not intervene, lest a greater evil befall the world, and the evil forces of chaos triumph forever. So we get that epic introduction. All right, and now we've got a brief introduction. HeroQuest is a fantasy adventure game set deep within a hidden stone labyrinth. This maze of underground rooms and corridors is controlled by the evil sorcerer Zargon and his forces of chaos. 4 valiant heroes have been summoned by Mentor, the good and ancient sage, to do battle with chaos. Theirs is the ultimate heroic challenge: descend into the treacherous world of the unknown and restore honor to the Empire. Destroy the evil forces of chaos. Bonded by their loyalty to the Empire, the brave heroes unite. Stepping cautiously, they journey deeper and deeper into a dark, hidden world. What makes HeroQuest unique? One player assumes the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer and controller of the game. The other players assume the roles of the heroes: the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. A game for 2 to 5 players, HeroQuest is played in 14 sequential game-playing sessions called quests. Each quest is described in detail in the quest book. That's this over here. One quest may take an hour or 2 to play, or longer if people kind of waste time or have to make decisions, with each subsequent quest increasing in difficulty. During a quest, a hero may acquire valuable treasures. These riches may be used between quests to purchase powerful weapons and protective armor from the armory, which we already discussed. The heroes work together to defeat Zargon and his forces of chaos. Note together. Now, in the European version, they didn't say you had to work together. Obviously, it was a benefit, but you could fight each other if you wanted. Individual winning is not the goal. United the heroes stand, divided they fall. The adventure never ends. Additional quests featuring all new challenges for the heroes are available in quest packs sold separately. Now, it doesn't say it here, but you can write your own quests also easily enough. So contents: 31 monsters, 8 orcs, 6 goblins, 3 Fimmer, 4 Chaos Warriors, 1 Chaos Warlock, 1 Gargoyle, 4 skeletons, 2 zombies, and 2 mummies. 4 heroes, including 1 barbarian, 1 dwarf, 1 elf, and 1 wizard. 15 pieces of furniture, 2 tables, 1 throne, 1 alchemist bench, 3 treasure chests, 1 tomb, 1 sorcerer's table, 2 bookcases, 1 rack, 1 fireplace, 1 weapons rack, 1 cupboard. Miscellaneous items, candlesticks, bottles, scales, skulls, and rats, 21 doors, 5 closed and 16 open, 66 playing cards, 24 treasure, 10 artifact, 8 monster, 3 air spell, 3 fire spell, 3 earth spell, 3 water spell, 12 chaos spell, 1 game board, 1 instruction booklet, 1 quest book, 4 character cards, 1 barbarian, 1 dwarf, 1 elf, and 1 wizard, 1 information screen, 1 pad of character sheets, 6 white combat dice, 2 red dice, cardboard tiles, stairs, block squares, pit traps, secret doors, falling block traps, and skulls. Heck, a guy could have a pretty good time in Vegas with all that stuff. All right, assembly. Before you play HeroQuest, several playing pieces must be assembled. Detailed assembly instructions can be found on the inside of the game box lid. For a look at the finished furniture, refer to the illustrations on the cardboard platform located inside the box. Now, if you want more detail on all that stuff we just discussed, the first video of the 1990 unboxing covers all that in visual detail. Getting started. Choose your role. One player must assume the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer. The other players must assume the roles of the heroes, the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. If less than 5 people are playing, one person must still assume the role of Zargon. The remaining players are allowed to control more than one hero. Using less than 4 heroes will make the quests more difficult, and we have seen this play out in real time. It is certainly possible. Now, my editorial aside is that if you have one person controlling more than one hero, I feel like the game takes longer because you're thinking about all the different decisions for each of them. Maybe you're a little less invested in each individual character. So one person controlling 4 heroes takes a while. But otherwise, every player is, if they're focused, they're kind of thinking about their turn, what they're going to do. Maybe they'll briefly discuss amongst themselves, combine their brain power, and then make a move. Now, anyway, I'll never get this done if I just do too many asides, so let me move on. Important. The role of Zargon is a vital one. He serves as the game master. He sits behind the information screen. He controls the quest for the other players. He alone knows where the monsters, secret doors, treasures, and traps are located in the labyrinth. He alone has access to the quest book. Suggestion: if you are the purchaser of the game and have gathered your friends together to play, you should play the role of Zargon. In the European version, they suggest rolling dice, and each person gets to pick their hero that way, or their character, and then the last person left is Zargon. But anyway, how Zargon uses this book. As Zargon, you must first read this entire instruction booklet to yourself in order to understand how to run the quest. So you future Zargons out there, this is what we're doing right now. Once you are ready to begin play, read aloud to all the players A Glimpse into the World of HeroQuest on pages 10 and 11. Now, to be honest, I haven't always done that, but I'm sure we did it the very first time we played. But we'll get to that. Remember, remember, the quest book is for your eyes only. However, there are sections of each quest that you must read aloud to the other players. The paragraphs are noted throughout the quest book. So, for example, here you'd read this to them. You wouldn't show them that. You wouldn't read this, but this little part here, the parchment text, they call it. At the beginning of each quest, only the parchment text should be read aloud to all players. So, no peeking at this. And actually, it's funny because these quests have been out for 30 years. So if you're playing with some players, yeah, chances are they don't remember, but you don't want somebody at the table like whipping out their phone and going to, let's say, Phoenix's page or the inn or whatever and looking up the quest and getting a heads up, or just having a good memory. So It's really easy to rearrange things in the quest, keep it fresh. And actually, some fans, excuse me, some fans have even come up with their own like rearranged versions for easy access. All right, so back to the reading here. Okay. To further simplify the instruction booklet, the following symbols will tell you which sections pertain to the heroes and which sections pertain to you as Zargon. Look for these symbols throughout the book for quick reference. So we've got the Zargon symbol Z, hero symbol H. And once again, if you're playing the European version, Morcar is the Zargon character, the evil wizard player. Z, Zargon, setting up the game. Zargon, to set up the game properly, you must do the following 11 steps. 1. Open the quest book. Turn to quest 1, the trial. This quest must be played first. Read it silently to yourself. Now, we haven't always followed this. The trial is actually one of the more difficult quests in the 14 original quests. So we've experimented with playing quest 2 first. But certainly it will give you a feel for the rest of the game. So that is its strength. And it'll definitely test your skills. So this quest must be played first. Read it silently to yourself. Each quest features 3 different sections: the parchment text, the quest map, and the quest notes. Parchment text. The parchment text outlines the hero's challenge as well as the reward they will receive if they are successful. This section is always read aloud to the hero players at the beginning of the game. And I just showed you that. Quest map. The quest map shows how the game board is to be laid out as the game progresses. So a beginner mistake is to put everything on the board immediately. It even warns you not to do that. But as kids, some of us did that. You know who you are. The map is marked with symbols that show the starting positions of the monsters. Monsters are hideous creatures under your control. These symbols are identical to those on each of the monster cards and are identified on the information screen. So yeah, little icons. So like, let's take an example. Whoops. There's a goblin right there. So on the monster card, that shows the goblin there. This is full of spoilers, so just forget whatever you saw if you're not Zargon. Just telling you. Okay. All right. So we did that parchment text. This section is always read aloud to the hero players at the beginning of the game. Quest map. Okay, yeah, I skipped ahead. Sorry. Skip back. The quest map. These symbols are identical to those on each of the monster cards and are identified on the information screen. That's the GM screen or the Zargon screen. The maps also show you where to place pieces of furniture, stairs, doors, and block square tiles. In addition, there are symbols for traps, secret doors, and treasure chests. These symbols are shown in the identification guide on the cardboard platform. Important. Do not place anything on the game board at this time. You will reveal the game board layout only when the hero figures have moved to position on the game board that requires you to reveal something. So that's a key thing there. Quest notes. Read the quest notes thoroughly before the start of the quest to yourself. They explain what happens in certain rooms in detail, the unique situations the hero players will have to contend with. Read the notes silently to yourself. Important. You will later disclose the quest notes information to the heroes as the quest unfolds and the heroes move into certain rooms and corridors. Number 2. Open the game board and lay it flat on a table. The words Hero Quest must face you. That's Zargon. Number 3, character cards. Spread the 4 character cards face up on the playing table. Some people refer to these as turn cards or hero cards or character cards. Same thing. The number of dice and starting points are charted on each card. So this is the wizard here. You are the wizard. You have the power to cast many different spells. In combat, however, you are weak. You cannot wear armor or use large weapons. Therefore, you must cast your spells wisely and avoid physical combat. So for example, here he starts with a dagger. It's only 1 attack. If he throws the dagger away, it's still 1 attack. He's got 2 defend dice. And in the North American version, the wizard doesn't get any armor, period. Unless he finds the artifact known as the Wizard's cloak, in which case he'll get an additional one for 3. In the European version, he could buy a cloak, um, he could buy bracers, and the rules don't say he can't use Born's armor, but in the North American version, it explicitly says he cannot. So 3 would be his maximum. He's got 4 body points, 6 mind points at the start there. So that's the character card. Attack dice. They reflect the fighting power of the hero's weapon. During the quest, the hero's attack strength will continually be changed by events, spells, combat, etc. Defend dice. They reflect the ability of the hero to dodge or absorb enemy hits. During the quest, the hero's defense strength will continually be changed by events, spells, combat, etc. Body points. They reflect the hero's physical strength. The barbarian is the strongest with 8 points, the wizard the weakest with 4 points. Mind points. They reflect the hero's wisdom, intelligence, and resistance to magical influence. The wizard has the greatest mental strength with 6 points, the barbarian the least with 2 points. So it's kind of like Gauntlet, where you get the different strengths and weaknesses of the heroes. Number 4, tear off 4 character sheets from the pad, see below. Give each hero player a sheet, a pencil, his hero's character card, and the matching red plastic hero figure. And there you go. Now, in actual practice, especially these days with supplies being rare, we usually photocopy the character sheets or print out copies, or I've even just written the stats down on paper once you kind of know what you're doing. But on the character sheet, this is the North American version, you can name your character, write down what type of character it is, or class if you really want to, elf or wizard or whatever. And your attack, defend, starting body and mind, weapons, armor, body points. So usually like, okay, you get hit. So let's say he gets hit and he goes down to 3, 2, 1. He died, 0. Okay. Oh, but he came back with 4, blah, 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 whatever. Quest completed, circle. So you got the 14. Now, in the European version, they just say tasks completed, and you write the name of the quest that you completed. Because what if you play beyond the 14? Well, whatever. So there's different strengths and weaknesses of these different, and fans have created their own homebrew character sheets. You've got your gold coins, got your potion and other items, and the great thing is you can write on the back too, doing some simple math and so forth. Number 5, direct the hero players to fill in their character sheets with the starting body and mind points of their characters. If they wish, they may name their character. During the quest, a hero's body and mind points will be affected by events. Points can be gained or lost. Body points must be charted on the hero's character sheet. Any treasure found on the quest must also be recorded here. Players must save their sheets and bring them to each game session. Charting body points. So there's the example. In actual practice, as Zargon, I just end up keeping the stuff and bringing it back. Nowadays, people use text files and things. Number 6, place the information screen so that it is between you and the game board, obviously for secrecy. Number 7, place the quest book on the table between you and the information screen. Number 8, separate all the assembled doors, furniture, and monsters, and all the cardboard tiles into 4 groups or piles. Sensible. Note, for a quick identification of the monsters, refer to the last page of the quest book. So that would be here, explaining the different monsters. Number 9, study the quest map. Place on the game board only the things that go in the starting room, usually the room with the stairway. Note, do not put out any traps or secret doors. Do not reveal treasure at this time. So there's the example. Starting room of quest 1 with the stairway tile and closed door. So the heroes will start on the stairs. That's all they see is what they see in the room. Number 10, sort the cards. The cards are to be sorted into 8 piles. Now, all of this setup time is not as bad as some games, but you probably want to do this before everybody sits down. treasure cards, artifact cards, monster cards, chaos spell cards, air spell cards, fire spell cards, water spell cards, and earth spell cards. Treasure cards. Shuffle these cards before each quest. Keep them face down in a pile within easy reach of all players. So, got the treasure cards there. Now, in other versions of the game, you're supposed to shuffle them like every time you get a bad card or every time you draw a card. This just says before each quest. Artifact cards. These cards are special, as you will discover in the quest notes. Keep these cards behind the information screen. Monster cards. Spread out the 8 monster cards and put them face up near the game board so that the hero players can easily refer to them. So those are your standard 8 monsters. Other expansions have other monsters additionally. All the information on these cards can also be found in the monster chart on the information screen for Zargon's Eyes. Chaos spell cards. There are 12 chaos spells. These spells belong to Zargon and are very powerful, as you will discover in the quest notes. Keep these cards behind the information screen. So even though I said in the other game some Zargons choose to put them out, kind of show off a little bit, this says you're supposed to put them behind the screen. Note, some chaos spell cards will only be used with the quest packs sold separately. Hero spell cards. There are 4 groups of hero spells, each representing one of the 4 natural elements: air, fire, water, earth. Each spell group contains 3 individual spells. The spell groups are divided between the wizard and the elf. Dividing the spells. Direct the hero players to divide the hero spells. The wizard must first choose one of the 4 spell groups. So, wizard chooses first. Next, the elf must choose one spell group from the 3 that remain. So he gets to pick one. Finally, the 2 remaining spell groups become the possessions of the wizard. A spell and its effects are explained in detail on its corresponding spell card. Now, a lot of times when I see people play, they put their spell cards in a big stack. And I just tell them, hey, spread them out in front of you, kind of glance at them so that you know what each one does. Because when it's your turn, you're going to want to use them. So the wizard has a little bit more to do on his turn. So usually it's like an older player, more seasoned player that'll be the wizard. Not always, but usually it helps. Okay, so suggestion. If this is the player's first quest, the wizard should take the fire spells, the elf should take the earth spells, and the remaining spells should go to the wizard. Sensible. Number 11. Finally, put 3 white dice and the 2 red dice. These are reproductions also. And the 2 red dice near the game board where the players can easily reach them. Keep 3 white combat dice for yourself. So, and then some people like to have even more extra dice. So whatever. As time goes on, you'll need more. Now we get to this section here, this fun section. A glimpse into the world of HeroQuest. Welcome, my friends, to the world of HeroQuest, a place unlike any other. To gain access, you must first become a part of it. One of you will play the role of Zargon, the evil sorcerer. The rest of you will play the roles of the brave heroes. As heroes, you will work together to save the Empire from Zargon's evil forces. Will your valiant efforts be enough? Time will tell all. Heroes, you will begin your journey with Quest 1, The Trial, from the quest book. Your goal is to seek out and destroy Verag, a foul gargoyle who hides in the catacombs. Your very survival depends on your ability to work well together, for no true hero stands alone. Listen carefully now to these words from Zargon. Heroes, your goal has been made clear. I, however, have my own goal, to destroy you. You will begin this first quest in the room with the stairway. I will show you its location by placing the stairway tile on the game board. On each of your turns, you will discuss with your comrades where to move and what to do. Beware! Your decisions will affect all players. You will move square by square along corridors and into rooms. The distance of your movement will be determined by a roll of 2 red dice. Fate, you see, is really nothing more than chance. When you move, where you move is within your control. What you find along the way, however, is within mine, for I control the game board. Let caution be your guide. Danger, you will soon discover, lurks in every shadow. As you look down corridors and into rooms, I will reveal to you many things, including closed doors, pieces of furniture, hideous monsters, blocked squares, and dangerous traps that you have sprung. I will place these items on the game board for you to see. Their locations are known to me long before you, for they are shown to me on my quest map, a document never to be seen by your eyes. To discover that which I already know, you must move cautiously. Peril lies in each step you take. As you venture deeper and deeper into the underworld, you will be confronted by many foul monsters. These creatures will greatly test your strength and courage. Some of you will battle them using only your sword and armor. Your success or failure will be determined by a roll of the combat dice, for these special dice reflect your attack and defense strength. Others of you will have the mighty power of magic spells to assist you. You must cast your spells wisely. While you may use your turn to engage in combat or to cast a spell, you may instead choose to perform another action. These include searching for treasure, secret doors, or traps. You may even try to disarm a discovered yet unsprung trap. You must choose your action carefully, for you may only perform one action on your turn. Once each of you has completed a turn, only then will I take my turn. Prepare yourselves. My forces strike in great number. I control every monster present on the game board and may move all of them on one turn. Heed this warning. I am also armed with the power of magic. Dare you test your magic strength against mine? Your journey awaits. Prepare to meet the unknown. Will you survive the battles against my monster forces, or will your body and mind be forever weakened? Will you suffer the damage of hidden traps, or will you be able to locate and disarm them? Will you be trapped by walls of stone, or will you discover secret doorways? Will you find fortune through hidden treasures, or will greed and carelessness be your downfall? We shall see where fate takes you. Come, let the quest begin. So good stuff there. To begin the quest, Zargon, read the parchment text section of Quest 1 from the quest book aloud to the heroes. It is important that the heroes understand the history behind the quest and the goal set before them. Important. Only read aloud the parchment text section. The information contained in the quest map and the quest notes must, for now, be kept secret from the heroes. Order of play. Play begins with the hero seated to Zargon's left and continues clockwise. Zargon's left continues clockwise. After all heroes have completed their turns, it is Zargon's turn. On his turn, Zargon may move all monsters currently on the game board. This sequence continues until the quest is achieved or until the heroes leave the underworld. So that would include leaving by dying or running off in fear. Hint, a good starting setup would be for the barbarian to sit to Zargon's left, followed by the dwarf, the elf, and then seated to Zargon's right, the wizard. Now, I will say if you do it this way, certain spells won't be as effective. So some would say you should put the wizard first to Zargon's left, then maybe the dwarf, the elf, and the barbarian, or something like that. But you guys decide what you want to do when you're playing. On any player's turn, whether playing the role of Zargon or that of a hero, a player does one of the following on his turn. Move his figure or figures and perform an action, or performs an action and moves his figures. So now we get to H for the heroes. On a hero's turn, as a hero, you may move and then perform an action, or you may perform an action and then move. You may not, however, move part way, perform an action, and then finish your movement. You may perform any one of the following 6 actions. Attack, cast a spell for the wizard and elf only, search for treasure, search for secret doors, search for traps, disarm a trap. Now, as we go, you may realize that the expansions kind of amend these rules as time goes on. And cards may say things that contradict what's here, but they're special exceptions. So you've got those different actions. These actions are also listed on the back of each character card for easy reference and are explained, there you go, explained in detail on pages 13 to 21. So, yep. All right. Hero movement. As a hero, you normally begin and end a quest in the room marked with the stairway, unless otherwise specified in the quest book. Stairway leads you down, 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 deep into the evil stronghold of chaos. To safely complete a quest, you must return to the stairway, for it is only there that you are truly free from harm. To determine how many square spaces to move, you must roll 2 red dice, such as these. Then move carefully along the corridors and into rooms square by square. On the game board, the corridors are shown by the areas with light gray flooring. Corridors may be 1 or 2 squares wide. The rooms are enclosed by white lines, the walls. You do not have to move the entire distance indicated by the dice roll. It's important. When moving, however, you cannot pass over monsters, move through walls, or move diagonally. You may pass over other heroes. You may only enter rooms through doors. You may not share a square with another hero or with a monster. Exceptions. When on the stairs or in pit traps, sharing a square is permitted. Looking and opening doors. As a hero, while moving, you may look down a corridor or through an open door. Looking gives you the opportunity to see what is directly within your line of sight, such as closed doors, blocked square spaces, and monsters. Looking is not one of the 6 actions. On your turn, you may move adjacent, that's right next to, a closed door and ask Zargon to open it. Zargon will open the door by removing the closed door piece and replacing it with an open door piece. Opening a door is also not one of the 6 actions. Both looking and opening doors are simply considered to be additional things you may do on your turn. Some refer to that as a free action, but anyway. Note, all doors start out closed. Once a door is opened, it can never be closed. Important, getting caught in a trap, drinking potions, and picking things up also do not count as actions. They may be done at any time during your turn. Now, there are exceptions to that as well, but that's generally the rule. Z. How Zargon reacts to hero movement. As Zargon, you must carefully watch a hero's movement. Continually refer to the quest map in the quest book. When a hero looks down a corridor, place on the game board any closed doors, blocked square tiles, and monsters that are directly within the hero's line of sight. See page 15, C for clear line of sight. Ah yes, these infamous drawings. We'll get to those. When a hero opens a door, place on the game board the monsters, treasure chests, and any other items that belong in that room. Note, do not put out any traps or secret doors. Do not reveal treasure at this time. So you see that when a hero opens the door, so even before he steps into the room, according to this, you're supposed to reveal the whole room, except that which requires a special search. Blocked square tiles. As Zargon, you must place a blocked square tile on the game board as soon as it becomes visible to the hero. That's those little stone walls. These tiles show where extra walls have been built. Neither heroes nor monsters can move through blocked squares. H. The 6 hero actions. As a hero, you may do any one of the following 6 actions on your turn. It is possible, however, that you may not be able to do any. H. Action 1. Attack. As a hero, you may attack any monster that you are adjacent to. You are adjacent if you are directly to the side, front, or rear of another square. You may, however, only attack once per turn. Your attack strength depends on your attack weapon. The stronger the weapon, the greater the number of attack dice So attack and defend dice are just these. Used. Some weapons allow you to attack diagonally or from a distance. Most weapons, however, do not. So in the example, the elf is considered adjacent to the monster in these 4 positions. So as a kid, we learned what adjacent meant. It's great. Important. You may only attack with one weapon at a time. Next page, we're at page 14 here for you following along at home. At the start of the first quest, each hero is armed with a specific weapon. Refer to the hero's character card for his starting weapon and attack dice number. The barbarian begins with the greatest starting weapon, the broadsword. The dwarf's starting weapon is a short sword. He also possesses an inner strength, a special knack for disarming traps. The elf starts with a short sword. He is a good fighter and has some knowledge of the magical arts. The elf begins each quest with 3 magic spells, 1 spell group. The wizard starts with a small dagger. He has great knowledge of magic and is a master spellcaster. He begins each quest with 9 magic spells, 3 spell groups. However, he is handicapped by his inability to wear normal armor or use large weapons. How a hero attacks. As a hero, you must roll the white combat dice to attack. Check your character sheet for your attack strength. Failure to roll any skulls results in a failed attack. I get to hear this all the time. So it's like you roll and you get this. It's like, oh, okay, you failed. You didn't get any skulls. Got to get these to get a hit. Each skull rolled is considered a hit, resulting in 1 body point of damage scored against the monster. If hit, the monster immediately defends by rolling its defend dice. If the monster's body points reach 0, the monster is considered dead and is removed from the game board. So you got the skull rolled. Z. How a monster defends. A defending monster rolls the number of defend dice shown in the monster chart on the information screen, or on the monster cards. Each black shield rolled by the defending monster blocks 1 hit from the attacking hero. Black shield rolled. Many monsters are killed with only 1 hit. Some monsters, however, require more than 1 hit. Refer to the monster chart on the information screen for monsters' body points. So this is a key difference between the North American and the European version. In the European version, all monsters had only 1 body point, except in some of the expansions. But the North American version, there tend to be more multi-body point monsters. For those monsters requiring more than 1 hit, monster damage is tracked by the use of skull tiles, which we discussed in the first video. Zargon, for each hit your monster sustains, you must record the hit by placing a skull tile under the monster figure on the game board. We tend to find it's often easier just to put it next to it. Note, if the monster survives the attack, it cannot attack the hero back until Zargon's next turn. See how a monster attacks and how a hero defends on page 22. We'll get to that. H for hero. A trip to the armory. As a hero, you may collect valuable treasures such as gold coins during a quest. Between quests, you may use gold coins to purchase powerful weapons and protective armor from the armory. See cardboard platform. These weapons allow you to increase your attack and defense strength and may also give you unique combat advantages. Very true. For instance, daggers and crossbows are special weapons due to their ability to hit a monster from a distance. Some long weapons, like the staff and the longsword, allow you to attack diagonally. The attack is made and defended normally. So there's your example. The wizard with a staff is in a safe position. The staff allows you to attack the monster diagonally. The monster, however, cannot attack the wizard diagonally. And that's a little trick when you're searching for treasure. If you block the hero into a corner, let's say, and he searches, the wandering monster can only attack the searching hero. Use and diagonal weapons allow more than 1 hero to attack a monster blocking a doorway, in this example. Now this is kind of infamous because a lot of quests you can kind of just mob the doorway and create a choke point, and the heroes can get through pretty easily. assuming the one blocking the door is putting up a adequate defense. Both the wizard and the barbarian may attack the monster blocking the doorway. The wizard, with a staff, may attack diagonally. The barbarian, with a broadsword, may attack adjacently, so through the open door. Note: for complete information on all of the weapons and armor, please refer to the armory on the cardboard platform, which we've already done. H for hero. Action 2. Cast a spell, elf and wizard only. As the elf or the wizard, you may cast a spell instead of attacking. You may cast a spell at anything you can see. Sorry, just had to cough there. Important, you may only cast a spell on your turn. C. For the elf or wizard to cast a spell, the target must be visible. Heroes and monsters are only visible if an unobstructed straight line can be traced from the spellcaster to the target. This is key, and it's been the source of many debates, but this is a very helpful section. A good rule of thumb: draw an invisible straight line between the center of the square of the spellcast. Draw an invisible straight line between the center of the square the spellcaster is on and the center of the square the target is on. If the line does not cross a wall, closed door, hero, or monster, the target is declared visible, even if the line just touches a corner or wall edge. The following diagram shows an example of what is visible. Now look at that carefully. So all of this made sense to me probably the first 100 times I played the game, except for this one right here. Look at that. The line kind of like bounces off the wizard a little bit and goes there. So it's off center. It's not diagonal squares exactly. So for a long time I played it much more strictly there, and I didn't realize that technically he can still see that monster, so can still fire a spell or weapon at him technically. So anyway, you've got that there with those orcs. So the solid line represents a clear line of sight. The dotted line represents a blocked line of sight. So good to know. All right. As the elf or the wizard, you may cast a spell on yourself, another hero, or on a monster. Once a spell is cast, the spell card is discarded for the remainder of the quest. Each spell may be cast only once per quest. Use them wisely. So one thing we often did to remember when you cast a spell was to kind of tilt the card sideways. So that's a little Magic the Gathering trick if you're ever into that game. All right. Use them wisely. Note: a spell and its effects are explained in detail in its corresponding spell card. We've gone over those. I didn't read every word, but you can view those in the earlier video. Page 16. We're getting there. We're making progress. 23 pages total. So, hero. Action 3. Search for treasure. Treasure is found only in rooms, not in corridors. Now, in the very first edition of HeroQuest in Great Britain, you could search corridors. All the other versions, you can't. A room may be searched by all 4 heroes, but each individual hero may only search the room once and may do so only on his own turn. Note: some treasures are protected by a trap. See Search for Traps on page 17. We'll get to that. How a hero searches for treasure. As a hero, you may search a room for treasure only if the room is uninhabited by monsters. As a hero, you must first verbally declare your search. Do so by saying, "I am searching for treasure." Searching for treasure means you are looking around, opening things, searching for interesting objects and gold coins, regardless of what squares you are on in the room. Do not move your hero figure when you search. So after a while, we start shortening things. So just searching for treasure. If there is no special treasure called out to Zargon in the quest book, you as a hero must draw a random card from the treasure card deck and read it aloud. The card could offer you a variety of things, including riches and magical potions. let's see, magical potions. Record any gold coins or potions on your character sheet. These valuable treasure cards, gold coins and potions, are not returned to the treasure deck until the next quest. So there's a good one. Yeah, that's much better. Note, if you wish, you may share the gold coin treasures with the other heroes. Later, between quests, you may use the treasure to purchase additional weapons and armor from the armory. See A Trip to the Armory on page 14, which we already read. Be careful. Almost half of the treasure cards contain wandering monsters and hazards. These bad treasure cards are returned to the treasure deck and may be redrawn in the next treasure search. Important. The treasure cards must be shuffled before a hero draws one from the deck. Now, there's some debate over what that means. So, does this mean that you're supposed to shuffle it after they get a bad card? Or does this just mean you shuffle it the very first time? Or does it mean you shuffle it every time? So, some do it just at the beginning of the quest. Some do it every time you shuffle. Some do it only when a bad card is drawn. So, some of it is a little vague. There's strengths and weaknesses with each method. But yeah, if you don't shuffle every time, yeah, you can use card counting techniques to just realize, okay, we've gotten all the good cards. Everybody stop searching, assuming you've got the treasure of the quest. Now, to be honest, though, if you find a room and there's a piece of furniture, especially if it's a weapons rack or a treasure chest, there might be a quest treasure in there. But if there isn't, I mean, anything's possible. But a lot of times heroes they'll just stop searching. So if you do have a mechanic where you are shuffling more often, okay, it's riskier, but you don't necessarily know. Then again, by the same token, let's say you've gotten rid of all the good cards. You can shuffle it all you want, but it's just going to be a case of wandering monster or hazard. What type of wandering monster or hazard are you going to get? They're still going to stop searching, unless they think there's a good chance they're going to get something from the quest. Usually a quest will have like one artifact or one really cool treasure, and then the rest are going to be cards. How Zargon reacts to a hero's search for treasure. As Zargon, if there is a special treasure as described in the quest notes, you must read aloud the treasure description once the treasure has been found. The special treasure is discovered only once by the first hero who searches the room for treasure, even if other heroes later search the same room. Some people forget this. So let's say the Spirit Blade is in a room. First guy gets it. Second guy gets a card. Third guy gets a card. Fourth guy gets a card. If there is no special treasure in the search room, direct the searching hero to draw a treasure card, as described. However, if the hero draws a wandering monster or hazard card, do the following. Zargon, wandering monsters. These monsters pop out of holes and hidden places and wander into rooms. The monster that appears is listed in the quest notes, so you get different versions. So, like in this quest, it's a Femur. Uh-oh, that's pretty strong. Later quest packs will give you really powerful monsters or even groups of monsters. It gets really crazy after a while. But hopefully by then your heroes are pretty powerful and they can take it. All right. As Zargon, you must place the monster next to the treasure searcher and immediately roll attack dice. Refer to the monster chart on the information screen for the correct number of attack dice to use. On this round, you can only attack the treasure searcher. After the attack, the wandering monster remains on the game board and can be moved like other monsters. Now, in the Japanese version, this is totally different, but this is how wandering monsters function, the way most people are familiar, most players. Note, if the surrounding squares are occupied and it is not possible to place a monster next to the searcher, put the monster in the room as close to the searcher as possible. Then, on your next turn, the monster can move and attack like other monsters. Heroes. How heroes respond to wandering monsters. As a hero, you will roll combat dice to defend against a wandering monster's attack. You may then continue with your turn. That's key. It doesn't end your turn to get a wandering monster. See how a hero defends on page 22, which we'll get to. Heroes. Hazards. As a hero, when you draw a hazard card from the treasure card deck, read the card aloud and follow its directions. Now, in the European version, they weren't called hazards, they were called traps. And I think they changed the name to hazard in this version because people get confused. They would search a room for traps, there's no traps, and then they get a hazard card or they get a trap card. It's like, wait a minute, I just searched for traps. Why am I getting a trap? It's like a really hidden trap. Now, it's true in later expansions, they do have traps that are so well hidden you can't even find them, which seems really unfair. But at least here, the hazard is a different type of danger than a trap per se. So it's just a random thing. All right. So as a hero, when you draw a hazard card from the treasure card deck, read the card aloud and follow its directions. Simple enough. Again, for heroes, more about treasures. Treasure can be a variety of things, including gold coins, magic spells, artifacts, and potions. Artifacts. 10 of the special treasures are called artifacts. Each artifact is described in detail on its corresponding artifact card. These were called quest treasures in the European version, so a little bit more confusing. Here, a quest treasure is just something that's described in the quest, whereas an artifact, it's pretty clear what that is. These items include weapons, armor, and items that provide additional powers. Finding an artifact may also be the objective of a particular quest. Important. Certain artifacts may only be used by a specific hero. For example, the wizard's cloak and the wizard's staff may only be used by the wizard. Naturally. If another hero finds one of these items, he should give it to the wizard. So there you go, giving each other items. Potions. As a hero, you may drink a potion at any time. The way a potion works and how long its effects last are listed on the potion treasure card. Now, let's go back there. So you drink a potion any time. So that kind of contradicts an earlier thing which implied that you could only drink it on your turn. This says anytime. So I don't know. I think most people play it this way. That was their intention. Okay. How it works and how long its effects last are listed on the potion treasure card, and sometimes in the quest book. You may drink more than one potion at a time. So there you go. And I would say the effects stack. Some people don't like to play that way, but that seems to be what they intended. Healing potions are very valuable. If your body points are reduced to 0, you may drink a healing potion before you die and save yourself by restoring one or more of your body points. You may give one of your potions to a fellow hero, but you may do so only on your turn. Now, just to clarify that, a lot of people will say, okay, your body points are reduced to 0, you instantly die. But this says before you die. So what they mean is your body points are 0. Do you have a healing potion? At Zargon, I always ask that. If you've got one, you use it. That's just all there is to it. Save yourself by restoring one or more of your body points. You may give one of your potions to a fellow hero. So there you go, giving items. But you may do so only on your turn. So one thing that a lot of times we would forget when we first started playing the game is that we'd have two heroes next to each other, and one character would say, okay, I'm going to give you this. And he'd say, okay, I'm going to give you that. Wrong. On your turn, you give the stuff. When it's the other player's turn, they can give their stuff. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, if Zargon allows it, then that's okay. But that's a homebrew. Okay. Next. Hero Action 4. Search for secret doors. Secret doors are hidden portals that cannot be seen when you, as a hero, look into a room or down a corridor. These doors are concealed in a variety of ways, including sliding panels and pivoting bricks. You may not discover a secret door unless you search for one. How a hero searches for secret doors. As a hero, you can only search for secret doors if there are no monsters visible to you. There's that visible again. Now, technically, does that mean that you could have a hero in a corner with a bunch of heroes around him? He can't see any monsters. Can he search for secret doors? It would seem kind of goofy if that were the case, but just going by that text alone seems to be a bunch of monsters in the room. The monsters just can't suddenly run through the door just because they're visible. Until you walk up to the door and open it, it's like it's not really open. So just because you know, the heroes know where it is, the monsters don't know where it is necessarily. Makes sense. So a little bit of subtlety there. Once open, the door cannot be closed. Hero Action 5, search for traps. There are 4 kinds of traps: pit traps, falling block traps, ugh, those are bad, spear traps, and furniture or chest furniture traps. They can be found in both rooms and corridors. Only Zargon knows where these traps are hidden. If, as a hero, you move onto a square that contains a pit, falling block, or spear trap, you will automatically spring the trap, possibly suffering body damage. A treasure chest or piece of furniture may also contain a trap. If you search for treasure without searching for traps, you will spring the trap. Remember, it often pays to take the time to search. How a hero searches for traps. As a hero, you can only search for traps if there are no monsters visible to you. That again sounds like the what if you form a screen around the hero so he can't see? That seems like almost seems like a cheat, really. I think the way we always played it was if there's no monsters in the room or corridor, you can search for whatever you're searching for. But this makes it sound like treasure is more restrictive than traps and secret doors. But we'll read on. Maybe it'll be clarified. You must first verbally declare your search. Do so by saying, I am searching for traps. Zargon will then tell you which squares, if any, have traps. He will not, however, put any trap tiles out on the board. That's different than the European version. At this time, they are still concealed and unsprung. Once a trap is discovered, you may be able to jump the trap, or on your next turn, disarm it. See Action 6, Disarm a Trap on page 21, which we're fast approaching. Warning, there are some traps in a room that have been placed directly on the other side of a door. See, this isn't something that was introduced in the expansions. This was already there in the first one. It's nasty. Beware, the first hero to enter the room through that door will encounter the trap and suffer damage. Note, as a hero, you cannot search for these traps by looking through the door. You must be in the room to search for any traps in it. So it's a pretty nasty trick. It's almost like an unblockable hit, but technically not, because you could use pass-through rock, you could find another way around, you could just skip the room entirely in some cases. Or if it's a spear trap, you could get lucky, but we'll see. Note, monsters do not spring hidden traps. The 4 kinds of traps. The locations of pit traps, falling block traps, spear traps, and chest furniture traps are marked in gold or orange on the quest maps in the quest book. Pit traps. So for pit traps, a pit trap, and it's funny because this was written on, I didn't do this, but I think we did kind of something similar when we were kids, because remembering all the mechanics of the different traps, we considered like a little more advanced. So we'd always like put a bookmark there or keep it handy in case we'd refer to it. It's like, wait, what happens with that again? A pit trap is a covered hole in the floor. If the trap is found during a search, Zargon will say that the floor looks weak, and will point to the square where the trap is located. And this is the funny part. This is the part where the heroes will kind of like, set their dice on the tile or whatever. I mean, as Zargon, I don't have to remind them each time. Only when they actually search, if they forget. So it's not my fault if they forgot. Okay, Zargon will not put a pit trap tile on the game board at this time. It has not yet been sprung. Once a pit trap is discovered, a hero may be able to jump the trap, or in his next turn, disarm it. See Jumping Trap on page 20 and Disarm a Trap on page 21. If a hero does not search for traps and moves onto a pit trap square, he automatically springs the trap. Springing a pit trap. As a hero, if you move onto a pit trap square, Zargon will stop you by saying you've just stumbled into a pit. And there's the example of the barbarian. So you put the tile down and you put the figure on top of the tile. Zargon will then put a pit trap tile on that square under your hero figure and will tell you that you have suffered 1 body point of damage in the fall. This ends your turn. You must then record your body point damage on your character sheet. So there you go. I'm not sure why they're writing on top of the pad there. You would think that you would just tear it off, but who knows? Use pencil. What happens to a hero in a pit? As a hero, once in a pit, you may search the pit for treasure or secret doors as if it were a separate room unto itself. Now, the searching for treasure part makes sense because you draw a treasure card, but I was always mystified by this part about searching for secret doors. There's never a secret door in a pit, and it would make no sense because you would have to anticipate that the person's going to fall in the pit, so you'd have to design the quest in such a way that they'd be forced to fall in to find it. I mean, what if they disarm the trap and they can't find the secret door? I don't know. It's just weird. You could probably swing it if you made it in a certain way, but yeah, it's kind of a superfluous rule in this version here because none of the official quests ever take that into consideration with the secret door inside a pit deal. So anyway, when in a pit, you may also attack and defend, but you must roll 1 less combat die when doing so. This applies to monsters as well. Note, as a hero, your minimum attack or defend strength is always 1 combat die, even if the pit penalty would reduce your dice to 0. Normally, you can move out of a pit on your next turn. And moving out of a pit is not an action. It's just, you just move like you normally would. Note, once a pit trap is sprung and a pit tile placed on the board, the trap cannot be disarmed and removed. This is different than the European version where apparently you can remove traps like that. You can't in this version. As a hero, you may, however, attempt to jump over it. See jumping trap on page 20. Falling block traps. There's the symbol. Heroes beware. Falling block traps are very dangerous. You can say that again. Stepping on one may trigger the ceiling to collapse. If such a trap is found during a search, Zargon will say that the ceiling looks dangerous and will point to the square where the trap is located. Zargon will not put a falling block trap tile on the game board at this time. It has not yet been sprung. Once an unsprung falling block trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to jump the trap or may later try to disarm it on his next turn. If a hero does not search for traps and moves onto a falling block trap square, he springs the trap. Springing a falling block trap. As a hero, you may move onto a falling block trap. If you move onto a falling block trap square tile, Zargon will stop you by saying, "You've just sprung a falling block trap. The ceiling is caving in. Look out." I like the extra flavor text there. Zargon will then put a falling block trap tile on the square under your hero figure. Once a falling block trap has been sprung and put on the board, it cannot be disarmed or jumped. Again, different than the EU version where you could disarm it after it was sprung. Zargon will then give you 3 combat dice to roll. This is the painful part. For each skull rolled, you will suffer 1 body point of damage. You may not roll defend dice. On the other hand, you could miraculously avoid rolling any skulls and be unharmed, but most of the time, you're in for it. You must now make a decision. You can either move ahead or move back to an empty space. Remember, the trap space is now a permanent block in the game, so just like those stone walls. Your decision is a critical one. You could become trapped forever, or you could be cut off from the rest of the heroes. Move to the space you've decided upon. This ends your turn. So it doesn't matter if you had 12 on your dice, movement dice, you just get 1 more square to move. I know, it's painful. Thankfully, we're getting to the end here. I getting a little dry throat here. All right. This is why professional streamers will have, a big tall glass of lemonade and hopefully a strong bladder. Anyway, spear traps. A spear trap is carefully hidden. If found during a search, Zargon will say that the square looks suspicious and will point to the square where the trap is located. Once a spear trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to jump the trap or disarm it. As a hero, when you step onto a spear trap square, you automatically spring the trap. This causes a spear to thrust out of the wall, floor, or ceiling. So the floor looks weak, ceiling looks weak, this square looks suspicious. Springing a spear trap. As a hero, you may move onto a spear trap square. When moving onto a spear trap square, you must roll 1 combat die. If you roll a skull, you suffer 1 body point of damage. This ends your turn. If you roll either a black or white shield, you have dodged out of the way of the spear. You may then continue with your move. So that's a key. So it's the most forgiving of the traps in the game system. You may then continue with your move. The spear trap is now gone forever, and the square can be moved onto safely. There are no spear trap tiles. So despite what you may have heard. Page 20. Chest furniture traps. A chest furniture trap can be a variety of things, including poisonous gas, poison needle, explosive latch, or a shooting dart. If the room or corridor that the chest furniture is located in is being searched for traps, Zargon will say that the chest furniture looks dangerous and will point to the chest furniture in question. We always used to say this treasure chest looks suspicious, but looks dangerous. Once a chest furniture trap is discovered, a hero may attempt to disarm it on his next turn. Springing a chest furniture trap. As a hero, if you search a room for treasure, before searching the room for traps, any chest furniture traps in the room will be sprung, ending your turn. You then suffer the consequences, described to Zargon in the quest notes. If you successfully disarm the trap is removed, and you may continue with your turn. See Disarm a Trap on page 21. You may search the disarmed chest furniture for treasure on your next turn. Now, in the European version, there was, I think, a deal where you were supposed to like walk up to the chest or something to search it. No such rule of that sort exists in the North American version. So if you had a furniture chest, let's say, and there was a trap tile next to it, searching for treasure would not trigger it. And you would not, unless you actually walked onto the trap square, you wouldn't trigger it. So there's a few quests later on in the expansions where I think the designers kind of forgot that and they which system they were working with. But yeah, a furniture trap, if you don't disarm it first, you're going to trigger it once you search for treasure. Jumping a trap. Okay, here's a key. As a hero, if your path is blocked by a trap, you may attempt to pass by jumping over it. To jump over a trap, you must do the following. You must have at least 2 squares of movement remaining, as if you moved onto the trap square and then onto the one unoccupied adjacent square beyond. You must roll anything but a skull on 1 combat die to jump the trap. If a skull is rolled, you spring the trap, suffering the body damage caused by that particular type of trap. If there is a corresponding trap tile, it will then be put on the game board by Zargon. You are then put on the trap square. This ends your turn. So it's pretty risky. If you avoid rolling a skull, you can jump over the trap, expending 2 moves, meaning 2 squares of movement. If you have any moves remaining from your dice roll, you may then continue your move. Note, once a falling block trap has been sprung, it cannot be jumped. The path is permanently blocked by a wall of fallen stone. However, once a pit trap has been sprung, the hole in the ground, though dangerous, can be jumped. More about jumping pit traps. There may be as many as 3 possible squares to jump to on the other sides of a single pit. However, a pit in the corner of a corridor has only 1 space open to jump across, as in the picture there with the wizard. To successfully jump this corner pit trap, a hero must jump across to square X. So, boom, boom. In the above illustration, if the X square is occupied by a monster and you are a hero without any special armory weapons, you must voluntarily fall into the pit, suffering damage, and do combat with a monster at a disadvantage from in the pit. So I think what they mean there is, okay, well, if you had a diagonal weapon, you could attack him, clear the way, and then try to jump it. Monsters with enough movement squares and a vacant space beyond will always successfully jump over a pit. If they voluntarily enter a pit, they will suffer no damage. But they do get that penalty with attacking and defending. Okay, page 21. Hero Action 6. Finally. Disarm a trap. As a hero, to disarm an unsprung trap, you must first know its location, and you must possess a toolkit, or be the dwarf. A toolkit may be purchased between quests at the armory. See cardboard platform. How a hero disarms a trap with a toolkit does not apply to the dwarf. Now, some people create a homebrew rule here about, well, what if the dwarf has a toolkit? But as it was intended, he doesn't need one. Okay. As a hero, before you move, you must announce that you are moving onto the trap square to attempt to disarm and remove the trap. You must move onto the trap square and roll 1 combat die. I just like holding up the combat dice. If you roll a skull, you have sprung the trap, suffering body damage. If you roll either a black or white shield, the trap is disarmed. A disarmed trap is considered gone and is not put out on the game board. How a dwarf disarms a trap. As a dwarf, you never need a toolkit to disarm a trap. Your odds of succeeding are great due to your innate skills. To disarm a trap, you must do the following. Before you move, you must announce that you are moving onto the trap square to attempt to disarm and remove the trap. Now notice you're not rolling to move. This is completely separate. You just place your figure right on the square. It's like a free action, essentially, because disarming is the action. Roll 1 combat die. If you roll a black shield, you have sprung the trap, suffering body damage. If you roll anything except a black shield, the trap is disarmed. Note, a disarmed pit trap is considered to be a regular game board square. Zargon, the evil sorcerer's turn. Finally. Zargon, only after all 4 heroes, or surviving heroes, have completed a turn is it your turn. You may then move every monster currently on the game board. Like heroes, monsters may move and perform an action, or may perform an action and then move. A monster cannot move part way, perform an action, and then finish its movement. Each monster may perform one of the following 2 actions. Attack, cast a chaos spell. Note, only certain monsters may cast a spell. Refer to the quest notes in the quest book for more information. Monsters may not search for treasure, search for secret doors, move or attack diagonally in most cases, pass over heroes, move through walls, open or close doors in most cases, share a square on the game board. Note, monsters do not spring hidden traps, therefore they have no need to search for them or to disarm them. Monster movement. Unlike heroes, monsters do not move by dice roll. Each monster's maximum movement per turn is listed in the monster chart on the information screen and also on the 8 monster cards. So the goblin is the fastest. He can move up to 10 squares. The mummy is the slowest. He can move only up to 4. Monsters do not have to move their entire distance indicated on the monster chart. Almost to the end here. Page 22. Zargon. The 2 monster actions. Attack 1. Action 1. Attack. Sorry. A monster may attack any hero that it is adjacent to. However, a monster may only attack once per turn. A monster's attack strength is based on its natural abilities and does not depend on a weapon. How a monster attacks. An attacking monster rolls the number of attack dice shown in the monster chart on the information screen. Failure to roll any skulls results in a failed attack. Each skull rolled is considered a hit, resulting in 1 body point of damage scored against the hero. If hit, the hero immediately defends by rolling his defend dice. If the hero's body points reach 0, the hero is considered dead. See dead heroes. Important, if the hero has 1 body point remaining, it takes more than 1 hit of damage, his body points are still only reduced to 0. Skull rolled. Hero. How a hero defends. A defending hero usually rolls 2 defend dice, less if in a pit or under certain spells, and more after purchasing armor. Each white shield rolled by the defending hero blocks one hit from the attacking monster. White shield rolled. Z, Zargon, or Zed, I suppose, in other countries. Action 2, cast a chaos spell. As Zargon, you may cast a chaos spell instead of attacking. You must give your chaos spells to specific monsters as called for in the quest notes. A monster can only cast a spell on a hero that it can see. Important. You may only cast a spell on your turn. A spell may only be cast once per quest. Once the spell is cast, the spell card is discarded for the remainder of the quest. A spell and its effects are explained in detail on its corresponding spell card. Now, as before, these are the general rules. The quest notes or the spell cards may contradict this. Just consider them exceptions. Note, several of the chaos spells are not used in the first 14 quests. They will be used in future quests and can also be used by you when designing your own quests. Heroes, dead heroes. As a hero, you die when your body points are reduced to 0, and you do not have a healing spell or healing potion to save yourself. What happens to a dead hero? As a hero, if you die, you are out of the game for the rest of that quest. You may, however, rename your hero and play him as a new character in the next quest. Armor, weapons, and treasures that belong to you prior to death can be picked up by any other hero in the room with you. Warning, or corridor. Warning, if there are no other heroes in the room or corridor with you when you die, any monsters in the room or corridor with you will claim your possessions. It may not, however, use them. They are removed from the game. Now, the question is, what if there aren't any monsters? Some interpret this to mean no matter what, if you die in an empty room or corridor, that's it. Your stuff's gone. Others would say, as in the European version of the game, it's a race. If a monster gets there first, the stuff's gone. If another hero gets there first, then you can claim the gear. How a hero escapes death. Now here's the key. Now this is different than the European version. As a hero, if your body points have been reduced to 0, there are 2 situations where you can save yourself. 1. If you have a healing potion in your possession, you can immediately drink it. The potion will instantly raise your body points above 0, restoring you to life. 2. If you are a spellcaster with a healing spell and you have not already performed an action on your turn, you can be healed by casting the spell on yourself. Important, after your body points have reached 0, you can never be saved by a fellow hero's spell or potion, except for the Elixir of Life. It will be too late. Well, I guess the Elixir of Life is an artifact. It will be too late. You will have died by the time it is your fellow hero's turn, the only time when he can cast a spell or give you a potion. Yeah, because you can't throw a potion onto another hero. You have to hand it to him, and then he gets to drink it. Now, this section, a couple people have kind of debated it, because the question of, let's say you have no healing potions, but you have a healing spell, and you haven't yet used an action. Okay, so if you searched for treasure and you got a hazard or a wandering monster that attacked you and one of those things killed you, you're out of luck. You're dead because you've used an action already. And so you can't use your healing spell because you only get 1 action per turn. But what if it's not your turn? In other words, it's Zargon's turn. Zargon's monster attacks you, kills you, and you have a healing spell. Do you get to use it? The way we've always played is, well, of course, because you haven't done an action yet. But does that mean that on your next turn you don't have the action and you just have a movement? Or do you just get like a free action? Some would say, so taking a stricter approach, if it's Zargon's turn and you get killed and the only way to save yourself would be a healing spell that you have, you're just out of luck. The way I've always played it is Zargon just throws you a bone and says, use your healing spell, you come back. And on your next turn, you just get action and movement. It's just like normal. But it's your case to make. Is it splitting hairs? Possibly. Zargon. What happens if you run out of monsters? Some quests may require more monsters than are available in the game. especially if you run around and don't kill them all room to room. This could happen if the heroes fail to kill monsters. Killed monsters may be used again later in the quest if the quest book calls for their placement. However, if all the monsters of a particular type are already on the game board and you, as Zargon, need to place another one, you may use any monster that is of the same color as the one that should have been used. Now, I take that to mean you actually substitute it, as opposed to, like, you put another goblin and you just say, we're going to pretend that's an orc. So, another ambiguity. Ending the quest. As a hero, you successfully complete a quest only when you have achieved the quest goal and have returned to the safety of the stairway. This one gets controversial when people are tired, it's been a long quest, and it's like you've got the treasure or whatever that you're supposed to get, you've killed all the monsters on the board, you've explored everything, and you just have to trudge back to the stairs. You know what? Just call it good. That happens a lot. But technically, the way they wanted you to play it is you got to go back to the stairs. A quest may be ended early by the players voluntarily returning to the stairway before completing the quest, or by all 4 heroes dying in their attempt to complete the quest. Now, there are a few quests where it doesn't say you have to go back to the stairs to win. So technically those were intended to be ended without trudging back to the stairs with unopposed. There's usually a final treasure or reward associated with successfully completing a quest. Your valiant efforts are rewarded by splitting the reward amongst yourselves. After completing the quest, circle the corresponding quest number on your character sheet. Keep the sheet as a record of the quests you have completed. What happens between quests? As a hero, your starting body and mind points are automatically restored once you've successfully completed the quest and have returned safely to the stairway. Now that's an interesting thing. You could say, well, is it the act of getting on the stairs that heals you? That may be splitting hairs. I don't know. It could be too nitpicky. All spells are then returned to the wizard and the elf. Now there are a few two-part or multi-part quests where this doesn't happen, but those are the exceptions, definitely the exceptions. Finally, you may now visit the armory and purchase new weapons and armor with the gold coins you've accumulated. Be patient. It may take a few quests before you have enough money to purchase anything. Wizard, since there are so few things that you can buy from the armory, it would be wise for you to save your money. Other powerful magic items will be offered for sale in future ventures in the quest packs. You may wish to spend your money on those items. Well, I'm recording this video in 2021, and I'm sorry to say that as of this point, this is not true. They may have intended to do this, but they never did. There are other quest packs where the wizard gets to do more stuff, but they didn't create any powerful magic items that you can buy with your gold. So if you're the wizard, my advice, just buy what you want. Might as well. I mean, yes, there are potions you can buy in the quest packs, but the truth is anybody can buy those anytime. So if you're sharing gear anyway, just other people can buy the stuff and just give it to you if that's what you decide to do when you're working together. So unfortunately, but I'm sure they plan to do like a wizard quest pack and a dwarf quest pack, and some people have even speculated on the forums, and there's I guess some early sketches, but it just didn't progress that way. So anyway, important. You keep any treasures found and take them with you on your next quest. Remember, heroes, to subtract from your character sheet any gold coins spent, save this sheet between quests and use it again. So now I guess in the European version, you lose the treasures in between quests, like the potions you didn't use. Not the case here. So this is the potion hoarding edition, is the North American version. Okay, we're almost at the end. Zargon, lost artifacts. It is sometimes required that the heroes have a specific artifact in their possession before they continue on to the next quest. Zargon. If a hero dies while in possession of an artifact and your monsters steal the artifact, you must include the artifact as a special treasure early in the next quest. Zargon. Unfinished quests. Zargon. If a quest ends with disastrous results, such as death for all 4 heroes, or goes unfinished, you should modify the quest before it is replayed. Sensible. You can do this by creating a new adventure using the blank map and symbols at the end of the quest book. So that's the end of the instructions, and just to refer you once again, there's the blank map at the end of the quest book. Create your own exciting quests. Simply photocopy the blank map shown above, along with the symbols shown below, and use them to design your own games. Now, there was an adventure design kit. It was only released in the European territories, which had a more elaborate version of this. But anyway, mark the map with the various monster, furniture, and trap symbols. Then write a short paragraph to explain the adventure, and you're ready to play. More quest adventures to come. Your Hero Quest game system is expandable. Look for exciting new quest packs filled with new adventures, new treasures, and even more monsters. Quest packs sold separately. Classic. So you got all the different symbols there. Different furniture. There's the little icons. Yep. So that's in the quest book. So yeah, these two things are key, but really when you think about it, it's not a lot. I mean, you look at these huge manuals, and a lot of these RPGs, they make you, or they pressure you into buying all these books, and a lot of them are really expensive actually, especially if there's a new edition out, and yeah, it could just be a mess, but this is all it is. And most of it you can get started pretty quickly. I mean, just kind of put your bookmark where the traps are, and that's all you really need. So thanks for listening. That was long, and if it gets you interested in HeroQuest or kind of highlights maybe some of the differences in the different versions that you've played or will be playing, hope that was helpful. So yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next stream. There's some dice for fun. There's a lot of custom stuff that I made for HeroQuest. This is a dice rolling box. It's just a cigar box that's been painted and shellacked, and just cut some felt and glued it to the inside. And I mean, it's not perfect. You can see like the little cut areas, and lint gets in here and gets stuck to it, and you got to kind of like scrape it out or use tape to kind of like clean it up. But it works, and it makes a nice noise. Protects your dice, and it prevents your dice from flying all over the table. So I like it. But just a fun little thing. Doesn't come with this. In the original game, you've just got the wooden dice, and usually we roll it on the board, and the dice go flying everywhere. So hope you have fun, and stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for staying up with us.